camper. It's cold. It's winter. It's below freezing, guys. So I told you that I got a tent on the way. Winter tent, hot tent. Well, it won't be hot until I put a stove in it. So that's what I gotta do now, is figure out what am I gonna do for a stove. I wonder. Anyways, you know what? I think I'll make one. Yep. Yeah, I see all those fancy stainless ones with the glass and whatever. You know what? Fine and dandy, look fancy, but a couple $100 I can make it for next to nothing. I got the materials here, so I'm gonna take you through that of building a stove for a hot tent. So I've built one before. If you look way back on the channel here, it's called what was it called, this video? It's called, I'll put the episode, no, there's no episode on that one. I'll put a link to it in the description here. Propane wood stove on the cheap, I think, or something like that. Anyway, that's what I made it out of, a propane tank, and I got lots of these around. That's a 30-pounder. These are 20s, 30, bunch of 20s over there. I got a water tank. I got a 5-pounder or 15. I got a Freon air conditioning refrigerant, I should say, refrigerant tank here. So yeah, the hot tent is a traditional canvas tent, not insulated, so I think I'm going to need a good stove. So I'm going to build a good one here. What I'm thinking, what I got in my mind, I've taken a couple days to think about this. So I think I'm going to take two 30-pounders and put them together. And yep, 2 tanks is what we're going to make. 2 30-pounders. So anyways, I'm going to get working on this, and I'll bring you in as when I get some of the cutting done. So in order to make a stove out of a propane tank, we got to cut the tops off. Safety first. Take your valves out. Don't cut into the tank with a grinder for jumping stuff sake. Yeah, so these valves have been out for months. I picked up these tanks at the propane shop, and they had the valves already taken out. So so they've been sitting there for months. So there's not a thing in them. They're just a vessel. That's it. This is the way I want the stove, of course. I want it like this, but on the sides, and get wood, you know, 14, 15, whatever inches long. But what I find is I want this to last a long time. I want it to last for a few hours. I want to be getting up every hour putting wood in, and I'm going to put some kind of a baffle in there and try to make it somewhat of a high efficiency stove. So anyway, so what I got in my head now is, what I got 2 tanks is I'm going to cut the top off of this one, and I'll stick the other one on there. Like so. I'll cut both of them and join them. And that'll give me the depth, right? Because for a wood stove, for the firebox, you know, width and length of junk, width of firebox and length of junk is going to give you more heat when the fire is burning. The height of the firebox is going to give you a longer duration of burning time. So I think the width and the depth will be fine, or pretty close. And I need more longer duration, so that way I can pile the wood up, and if I can get the air just right, if I can get that snuffed down just right, it'll just smolder through that, right? So I mean, because you lose your first little bit, you lose a little bit down here with a grate or a grill or with ashes, we'll say, right? So you're not left with a whole lot. And if I want to put a baffle in there, I'm not left with a whole lot, right? So I got to put 2 together to make it give us enough capacity, depth. So anyway, that's where I'm at with that. So now I got to try to find a way to cut this evenly on both tanks and join them together. The other one I built the door. I used the curvature of the front or the top for the door. You can only put 1 hinge on it. when you do that. So I want something better. So I'm going to put a flat front on this. I got metal over there. I'm going to put a flat front on it and have a nice tight door if I can do it. So yeah, so the other one was called a piggy stove, Holly called it. So this is going to be a double pig. A little more cutting and get back to it. Figuring, how am I going to get the two stoves to meet? When I cut the pieces, the sides or the top out of one, the bottom of the other, how am I going to get that to match? If you cut a chunk like this out of this one, and then you cut a chunk like this bigger out of the other one, well, they're not going to match. So I gotta cut the same chunk out of each so I can weld them together, right? So if I take a mark, take a spot, I'm going to use the bottom as a square point. To get a straight line, so that should work out. Oh, okay, let's do this. Okay. Just over 10. And then we'll do the same with the other one, and hopefully they line up. There you go. This is what I'm trying to achieve. Yep. So that's going to give me the depth, the height to pack wood. Now I got to figure out what I'm going to do for a baffle, and maybe something in the bottom here. Is a grate for ashes or something, or maybe just a brick or two. And then legs is easy. That's the last part. The front and the door, the drafter in the front. That's the most important part. So. Whew. Man, it's just getting bad out there. Big storm. Biggest one that we've experienced here yet. It's coming. I actually come home early from work. I'm supposed to be at work for another 3-4 days. And they were calling for 143 km/h winds. 143k. That's a lot. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about that. Anyways, I don't know what to expect here. It's probably pretty nasty. So anyway, today we got to get winter has hit hard. I came home early just to make sure everything's all right at the house. Because if the power goes out, Holly's kind of stranded. The tracks got to go on the bikes. I got a battery to put in one bike. I got a plow put on the other. Anyway, we've got a busy day, so I got to get going on this. All right, I got a bit of work lined up here. So let's get this thing jacked up and get these tracks on. Track maintenance, guys. Just a little quick thing here on this. So these wheels, these rubber centers on these wheels, they get popped out by sticks and twigs in the bush if you're using them. If you're on trails, you'll probably never lose one. But if you're in the woods cutting wood and stuff with these, they will pop out. You can see how this is all beat up a little bit, eh? Where sticks have been hitting on the edge of the wheel. Now, there's grease. Those bearings are greased from factory. But if you don't do nothing else, after your first season, a little bit of snow gets in there, they'll start to get hard spots on them. They'll start to seize up and get rusty inside. These were actually a little bit stuck when I bought this set of tracks. They were used one season and used very lightly. So what I do and what others do as well, it's not a big secret or a big voila or nothing, but pour a bit of gear oil. Just put a bit of gear oil in here and then put your cap on. And that gear oil will make its way in with the grease. and mix up with the grease, and we'll fend off some water, dissipate some water, and if you do get a bit of water in there, then it'll make it better, I guess. So yeah, so these been sitting all summer. Actually, I just noticed I got a flat spot on that one. So see that? I didn't notice that. Last year that one must have been seized, and I ran on it. So anyways, I'm gonna keep going on it. But these been sitting all summer, never touched them, and now they're still free. Now, so that's that for 2 years, 2 winters, right? I'm just gonna make sure the ends of them are down there, and they're not gonna get caught up on twigs and stuff, which is hard to do. Yeah, just gotta be, if anybody's got a way to keep these in here, I've thought about everything, like putting metal bands across, but that's just more stuff to get caught up. So anyways, I haven't really had time to do any research and trial and error, but if anybody's got a technique to keep these in, I would like to know. Put in the comments, please. But yeah, other than that, these are ready. So that's the 2 fronts. All right, tires off, tracks on. There's 4 studs there, and then you got kind of a clamp situation going on there on the A-frame. So that was fairly straightforward. Let's get this down, and let's get the rear up in the air. So far, so good. I just want to show you how bad this stuff gets beat up. See that one? That gets beat up pretty good, eh? That one's on both sides, actually. Anyway, I'm gonna try to get a wheel or a cap in that. I did have 2 new ones. That's a pretty powerful jack. Vivor is where I got that. No sponsorship, of course. Okay, the track beast. I guess this would be the mini beast. The other one would be the big beast. Anyways, mini beast is ready to go. I gotta get her out of here. Too much water coming off it. Okay, I just discovered something with these tracks for the. So this is for the 750 King Quad. I bought these last year in January, so almost a year ago, 11 months ago, and they were supposed to be a year old or something then. Or no, a couple years old, I think, because the bike he had was like a 22 or anyways. I just popped off the caps because I'm going to put oil in them, right, like I done with the other ones. And look at that. There's no rust or nothing. Like factory grease there. Like absolutely nothing under the cap. Like that's amazing, because if there had been used at all, usually water gets in there at some point, something, it gets rusty or something. So I'm just floored at how good shape this is. Like brand new, these things. Yeah. Anyways, there won't be nothing wrong with any of these bearings for sure. So anyways, we get some oil in them, and that's yeah, I'm really happy about that. Hey, late day here now. Just finished putting the tracks on, and yeah, I think she's a beast. I haven't tried it yet, obviously. Got the heated grips hooked up, and was waiting for a relay for that. They were all summer, so anyways, got that going. Everything fit as it was supposed to, because the tracks came off a 22 or a 21, I think. Same bike though. What a storm we had last night. Yeah, I think it was the biggest storm I've ever went through. Anyway, lost power at 10:30 last night. Here it is now, I don't know, 8:30 this morning. So it's supposed to be on again by 10, so it's a good 12 hours, no power. Luckily, we got the wood stove going nicely here. And we got the small power pack supplying our internet, our Starlink, and then we got this one. Remember this build? Anyway, you see all the cords hanging out of there. I had the computer going this morning. I got the stove fan going, light, yeah, TV and so on. So anyway, this is the Mature battery build I did. It's working very fine, comes in handy, and for times like this. So here we are at 57% still, and of course haven't had it going all night, but it's been going since 4 this morning or something. So says there's 9 hours left at this rate, so that's good. I just actually used it to charge up the small battery pack, because that thing is the Starlink is eating the juice here pretty quick on that one compared to this one. So anyways, all you need is a 12 volt 100 amp battery and an inverter, and you're in business. I put a tarp. I had a ATV cover for my excavator last storm. I don't know where it is. It's gone. Don't know where it went. Anyway, you see, pretty nice drift here. Really nice drift. Huh. That may be a problem. When I started up, it was all full of ice. Oh wow. Huh. So yeah, quite the event. Quite the event. That's about it. Oh, I see I see a problem over here. Holy. The sheeting shed is taking a beating. The wind flipped it right over. Wow. More, but there's still a bit of stuff in there. Still quite a bit of wind or weight. Oh yeah, look at this friggin' Tyvek just going everywhere. Wow. Now, gotta get that back up right. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. It's not gonna be easy. Yeah.